I was interested in going to a Latin Mass. I knew she was more traditional. I knew she was more in that boat. And I'm like, you know what? Like, this is a interesting thing that I think I could learn about. So we agreed to go to a Mass at St. Paul's up in Akron. And I got there 30 minutes early because if you're going late to Mass, you are not coming back from that. Like, my mindset hasn't changed on this even 1 year later. And I get there and I see there's like some people praying the Rosary. I'm like, oh, I'm vaguely familiar with this. Like, I have one of these. Like, someone at Walsh gave me one. So I'm like, oh, I can go in here. Here's the thing. All trad women dress exactly the same way from behind. So they're all wearing veils. They're all wearing like pastel tops, and they're all wearing floral skirts. And I go in.
That's so beautiful because you're spot on.
So I go in here, and there's this one girl. She's sitting in the pews. There's enough room for like one person to move in next to her. And I'm like, you vaguely look like the person I'm supposed to be here to meet. So I genuflect next to the pew as one does. I'm like, oh wow, I'm being all Catholic. Look at me, like. And then she says like, Holy Mary, Mother of God. I'm like, you are not the person I'm here to meet. So at this point, like, I'm in an awkward position where I'm still genuflecting, and I can either like sit down next to this girl and make it even more awkward, or I can just like take the walk of shame out of the chapel and realize I have no idea what I'm doing. I took the walk of shame. It was tough. So I walk on out and I see this table full of missals. Now, if you would have told me a year ago that I would have seen a table full of missals at a Catholic church, I would have thought we were in like a war zone or something like that. But here I am. I'm just like, oh, missals. I heard about these. These are supposed to like help you understand the difference between like the Latin and the Novus Ordo Mass. Like, I can figure this out. I go through. There's no Latin in there. So I'm just sitting here. So I see my buddy Andrew Ertl walk in. And I'm just like, Andrew, how am I supposed to use one of these things? He's like, those won't help you here. And just walks into the chapel. He just left me high and dry. So at this point, I am praying for God to, like, strike me down with lightning, because I had a massive crush on this girl at this point. Like, I'm sitting here like, wow, like, this girl is, like, incredibly based. She is incredibly devout. She's also very funny. I'm just like, wow, this girl is incredible, and I'm about ready to blow it at this Mass. Like, all 2 words of Latin that I remembered from high school are not going to help me here, and I know it. Like, so she gets there, and we sit in the pew, and the priest there was not mic'd, and he's not facing the congregation because you don't do that during Latin Mass. So at this point, I'm just like, okay, I can't hear the priest. I don't know what's going on. I just put down the kneeler, and I just prayed through the whole thing. So I just prayed through the whole thing, and like once or twice I kind of prayed that God would like send some lightning down and just like make it all over. But for the most part, it was just like, okay, God, here I am. How can I love you a little bit better? I paid attention during the readings and the homily, but after that, just put the kneeler down and just start praying again. And we get done with the Mass, and she's like, I almost forgot you were Protestant for a moment. And I'm just like, really? I was vaguely aware of it the whole time. So she's like, no, you just prayed through the whole thing. I'm like, I thought you were like supposed to pay attention during the Mass. And she's like, no, you can pray through the Latin ones. And I'm like, what? Like, why didn't anyone tell me this? So I get in the car and I call my mom, and she's like, oh, how was it? And I'm just like, Mom, that was the worst worship service I've ever went to in my entire life. She's like, oh, come on, it couldn't have been that bad. I'm like, you're right, it was significantly worse. So you might think I hate Latin Mass after that, but I don't. I actually really love it. The campus ministry had taken a trip down to the Dominican
House of Studies.
Yes, we went down to the Dominican House of Studies, and they were putting on a Mass for St. Dominic. That was one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my entire life. The chant was done so well. They had a scholar choir there that was absolutely beautiful. I mean, hats off to everyone there that day. They put on a really good Mass. It moved me. Like, I'm sitting here like, I don't know everything that they're saying, but I was moved. I was genuinely impressed. They also had a relic there. I think it was of a blessed, I forget who it was. It was a piece of human heart. So they're like, okay, we can touch you with this and you can receive a blessing. So they put this relic on me, And I felt a chill go down my spine. And I'm sitting here like, this is either the Holy Spirit or the heebie-jeebies. I don't know which one it is, and I don't... And the priest looks at me, he's like, yeah, you can kiss the relic if you want. I'm like, no, thanks, I'm good. I walk back, I'm like, too Catholic, I'm not ready for this yet.